Top of the morning, it's Brad here, hashtag Think Nashville, Think Brad. And today I wanted to make a video about the loan process when buying a home, not refinancing loan process. For most people, it's by far the most frustrating and confusing part when going through this whole shebang we call buying a home. This is the first in a 4 or 5 week series on the lending process, so stay tuned. So the first thing I as your agent do is as your agent, once you go under contract, let the lender know that we are in contract and I send it to them. But you'd be stunned how many lenders do not do that. So don't always rely on your agent to do so. When you go under contract as the buyer, call the lender up and say, hey, we're under contract, and then send them an email, attach the contract, and make sure they confirm receipt of it. So if you haven't picked your lender by the time you go under contract, now is the time to decide. Keep in mind with your lender, it's made up of multiple people on one team. The mortgage loan officer, the processor, the underwriter, and the closer. Try and find someone who has used this group before and see if they like the entire team. Because sometimes you get teams where the mortgage loan officer is good, but the underwriter is questionable, or the closer is good, but the processor was so-so. Always figure out who is on this team and how good are they. This is the time to rate shop, compare fees, and decide that day. Many people will go under contract and wait a week or two before deciding who the lender is. Bad idea. When you've only got 30, 40 days to close, no work can be done on the file by the lender until guess what? You have a lender. So decide that day, the day you go under contract. So now the lender has the contract. What's the first things they're going to be doing? The first things they're going to do is going by line and checking for the sales price, the closing date, the earnest money amount, and any seller credits. And they're going to be looking for gotchas. What is a gotcha? A gotcha is something that's going to kill the deal or be flagged by an underwriter. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say in your offer in the special stipulations, which has been accepted and it's now a contract, that you and the seller agreed for the seller to leave all their furniture at a cost of $50,000. Guess what? That's going to get flagged by an underwriter. That is a gotcha. So you're going to want to make sure you either go ahead and remove it in the initial offer, or you do an amendment to remove it so that it frees things up and you don't get caught on the back end. The lender is also going to be looking for who is closing this deal. Every state is different, but in Tennessee, typically it's either going to be an attorney, a standalone attorney, or a title company who has an attorney on staff. Conveyance is by warranty deed or quitclaim deeds, and deeds of trust are the customary security instrument. Typically, these title companies or attorneys hold the earnest money. In days of old, it used to be that the real estate companies would, but more and more because of liability, fewer and fewer are. Lenders will then be reaching out to the title company day one to get their fees. Part of the big reason they do this is that they have to disclose all the fees, aka disclosures, out to the buyer within the first 3 days. If you're with a lender and they've not yet done this and you're a week or two in, this is a big red flag and probably a lender you should stop working with. Lenders typically have about 25 places in the disclosures where you have to sign or initial. And by law, they cannot get started on your file until you've done so. So when you get these and when your mortgage loan officer calls you and says the disclosures are in your inbox, make sure you get on those immediately so that they can begin their work. Keep in mind these disclosures are what's called the initial disclosures. They're never exactly right. Whether it's the taxes, insurance, interest rate, especially if you haven't locked the interest rate, then that's not going to be exact. So guess what? Your payment's not going to be exact. But do not be confused, do not be dismayed. You'll want to still go ahead and sign these, even though they're not right, so the lender can get to work. Also, early on, you're going to want to go ahead and lock your interest rate. When you have a 30, 45-day closing, it's super important for that to be one of your early things. Don't risk it and have them rise and then you be jaded that the payment is even higher than you were projecting because interest rates rose. So now let's talk about the appraisals. It used to be right when you went under contract that the lender would go ahead and order it for you. Many companies don't do that anymore. Why? Because if the deal doesn't work out, then they're out the $500. So usually they'll do that a couple days in and they'll go ahead and call you for the fee. So make sure you go ahead and pay it so they can get it going. At the same time as you're signing the disclosures, you're going to be introduced to your processor. The whole job of the processor is to get everything you need to the underwriter. So when they call you and say, I need bank stubs, I need your most recent pay stubs, I need tax returns, I need all these things, you need to get them in immediately. Where files tend to get in trouble is when a buyer waits a week or 10 days to get all these things in, and then magically you don't close on time, and there's surprise. Guess what? It's on you. Sometimes buyers get pre-approved and submit all of these things. But then if you wait a few months before you go back and buy, they're gonna need updated pay stubs and updated bank statements. Moving on, you're also going to want to get a homeowner's quote early on. So many buyers make the mistake of waiting until they're almost towards closing to get one. But then the teaser rate they saw online, that's half what the actual rate is. A, they're pissed off, B, their payment's a lot higher, and C, it could throw your DTI to a level to where you don't even qualify for the house anymore. So get that early on, know the number, and figure out the rest. Then you're finally at underwriting. The underwriter has everything they need, 3 to 7 days goes by, and then they spit it back out and they say, good news, you're conditionally approved. What does that mean? A conditional approval is what 90% of real estate transactions come out as. It means you are approved with the following conditions. The file then gets kicked back to the processor, who, if you're with a big bank, could be a whole new person. If you're with a small bank, probably the first processor you dealt with, and they're gonna get back and say, here's 5 things or 10 things that you need to get me so we can make this file clear to close. So once you've got that magical clear to close from the lender, it's not quite time to celebrate yet. This is not the time to go out and buy new furniture or buy a car or do anything that is going to make the lender have to re-underwrite you. I've seen it before and probably will see it again, where people go out and make huge purchases right before they close and then they get denied for the loan. So whatever you do, do not do that. From here, we're almost to the finish line, so stay with me. I know this is a long video. The lender then will get all the paperwork together, what's called the lender package, and email it to the title company. The title company then works with the lender to balance their numbers, make sure everything's correct. They will send you a HUD closing statement, which shows the money you're going to need to bring to closing. Then they get with you on, hey, what time do you want to come in? Does Friday at 2 p.m. work? Sure, I'd love to be there. You get there, you wire the money before, you do your final walkthrough before, and then you get there, sign all of your paperwork, and guess what? Afterwards, you are a new homeowner. Congratulations. Woo! What a rundown. I think this is very important to do because for most people, the loan process is by far the most stressful and most confusing part of the home buying process. So as always, make sure to stay in touch as we've got more of these videos coming on lending and so many other subjects that I can't wait to tell you about. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe to this channel, follow us on social media, and reach out to us for all of your real estate needs. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.